Hey guys, so welcome to the Quadratic Equations lecture. The first question says that Raiden throws a piece of paper out of the window of his apartment. The paper is h meters above the ground and u meters from the building. The path of the paper is described by h equals minus u squared plus 4u plus 21. How far from the apartment will the paper land? Okay, so let's draw this out. So let's say that's a building there. So let's say that's the window there. He throws out the piece of paper. It sort of does this kind of a thing there. It sort of goes into that kind of a loop. That sort of makes sense, right? He will throw it and it'll go and make that loop and land on the ground over here. And this is being described by height is equal to negative u squared plus 4u plus 21, where u is the distance from the building there and h is the height right there. How far from the apartment will the paper land? So what we're trying to figure out here is, what is the distance right there? Sorry, that should be u. What is that distance right there? But at that point, as you might have imagined, the height of the actual piece of paper is 0. So we're trying to figure out negative u squared plus 4u plus 21 is equal to 0. And then we need to solve for u. Okay, so taking out negative 1 as a common factor, we have u squared minus 4u minus 21 is equal to 0. So that leaves us with basically u squared minus 4u minus 21 is equal to 0. Now, the factor combination that works to give us a negative 21 is negative 7 and positive 3. Because negative 7 times positive 3 gives us a negative 21. And negative 7 plus 3 also gives us the negative 4 that we need in the middle. So to solve this, to factorize this particular equation, we have u minus 7 and u plus 3 equals 0. So the two possible values are positive 7 and negative 3. Now, as we know, guys, distance cannot be negative because it is a scalar value that we're looking at here. We're not looking at it from a vector perspective, so we are looking at it as scalar. So it can't be the negative value. So u is equal to 7 meters. So if it travels according to that particular relationship right there, it will travel for 7 meters until it hits the ground. And we're talking about horizontal distance here. So how far from the apartment will the paper land? It will land 7 meters from the apartment. Okay, let's go move on to the next question. All right, so this question says the height of a triangle is 2 meters less than its base. If the area of the triangle is 4 square meters, what are its height and base? Okay, so let's quickly draw this out. So we have the height right there, and we have the base. Now, as the question says, the height is 2 meters less than the base. Okay? And as we know, the area of a triangle is half times base times height. Okay, so height in this case is simply b minus 2. So we have half times base times height, which is b minus 2, which gives us a total of 4 square meters. So we have b minus 2 equals, taking the 2 over to the other side as a multiplication, gives us an 8. So that gives me b squared minus 2b equals 8. Bring the 8 to the other side. We have b squared minus 2b minus 8 equals 0. Okay, so the combinations, or the factor combination that gives me a negative 8 is negative 4 and positive 2. And negative 4 plus 2 also gives me the negative 2 that I need in the middle. So to factorize this particular quadratic equation, I have b minus 4 and b plus 2 equals 0. And this gives me two values, 4 and negative 2. Now, obviously, the base cannot be a negative, so that gets taken out. So the base that we're looking at is 4 meters. Now, if the base is 4 meters, the height, which is obviously b minus 2, or 2 meters less than the base, is simply 2 meters. And guys, we can also double check our answer here, because half times base, which is 4, times height, which is 2, So half times 4 is 2, times 2 is 4, which is in fact the area that we have been given in the question. So that's one way to sanity check and make sure that the answers that you've got is correct, which is one of the really great things when it comes to quadratic equations, linear equations, etc. You can, in fact, double check your answers. Okay, moving to the next question. So this question says, the distance that is traveled by a car is given by the rule d equals 5t plus t squared, where t is the time in seconds and d is the distance in meters. If the distance traveled is 150 meters, how long was the car traveling? Okay, so we have t squared plus 5t is equal to d. Now d has been given to us as 150, so we have t squared plus 5t is equal to 150. Then, if we have to solve it, we need to take this over to the other side. So we have t squared plus 5t minus 150 equals 0. Okay, now we need to come up with combinations, factor combinations, that give us 150 and also add to give us a positive 5 in the middle. I would say that would be a positive 15 and a negative 10. So positive 15 times negative 10 gives me a negative 150. And when we add these two numbers together, I also get a positive 5. So factorizing this, we have t plus 15 and t minus 10 equals 0. So solving this, I get t equals negative 15 and positive 10. Now obviously time cannot be negative, so let's take the negative out of it. So to answer this question, if the distance traveled is 150 meters, how long was the car traveling? Therefore, the car was traveling for 10 seconds. Fantastic. Let's move on to the next question. Okay, so this question says, Roland is 5 years older than his brother Zenon. If their ages are multiplied together and 2 is subtracted from it, you get 8 times Zenon's age plus 16. How old are the two brothers? Okay, so let's just quickly assign them some letters. So Roland can be R, and Zenon can be Z. Now it says Roland is 5 years older than his brother Zenon. So R is actually Z plus 5. Okay? Now if their ages are multiplied together and 2 is subtracted from it, so R times Z, and then you do minus 2, what they're saying is you get 8 times Zenon's age, so 8 times Z plus 16. So let's clean this up a bit. So we have RZ minus 2 is equal to 8Z plus 16. Now the problem is we have two different unknowns here. However, we can also use the substitution method. So wherever R comes up, let's replace it with a Z plus 5. So we have Z and then Z plus 5 minus 2 is equal to 8Z plus 16. So we have Z times Z, which is Z squared, Z times 5, which is 5Z, minus 2 equals 8Z plus 16. Let's take 8Z to the other side. We have Z squared. Actually, let's also take the plus 16 to the other side at the same time. So we have Z squared plus 5Z minus 8Z minus 2 minus 16 equals 0. Okay, so Z squared, 5Z minus 8Z is minus 3Z. Minus 2 minus 16 is minus 18 equals 0. Okay, so now let's look at some factor combinations for negative 18, which will give us negative 3 when we add them together. And I would say that is negative 6 and positive 3, because multiplying these two numbers together gives me negative 18, and when I add them, I get negative 3. So factorizing this gives me Z minus 6 and Z plus 3 equals 0. Solving this, I have Z equals 6 and Z equals negative 3. Now obviously age cannot be negative, so let's take the negative number out. So Zenon is 6 years old, okay? And Roland, who is 5 years older, is simply Z plus 5 or 6 plus 5, which is 11. So Zenon is 6 years old and Roland is 11 years old. So once again, guys, when you do answer this type of question, please do make sure that you answer it in a worded fashion. So to answer this particular question, you would say, how old are the two brothers? Roland is 11 years old, while Zenon is 6 years old. Just finish off the question with writing that simple sentence. So guys, that brings us to the end of the quadratic equations lecture, as well as the end of this particular course. So I really hope that you found this helpful. We've been through so many different questions across the board, across a multitude of topics, and I've attached several worksheets for you guys to work through as well, to really help you cement some of the learnings. So thanks again, guys, for taking a part, and I will see you in my other courses.